Hi everyone, and welcome to another speed build. I'm really excited about this one because today I am sharing the first build that I made with Eco Lifestyle. And for this one, I decided to make what was supposed to be a Victorian home that was starting to become a little dated and dilapidated, and then a family bought it and gave it this really modern renovation and then added some solar panels and windmills and some other things to it to make it a bit more eco-friendly. And I've done renovations of older homes in the past, but I usually still leave those homes with sort of a traditional feel to them. Like, I don't really go too modern, but with this one, I just decided to go really modern with it. I even made an addition that was supposed to look like it was a shipping container slapped onto the side of the house. I thought that'd be something really cool to throw in because I really like those shipping container wallpapers that we got with this pack. And I also added in some floor-to-ceiling windows and doors towards the back of the house and used the new modern door that came with Eco Lifestyle on the front. I think, yeah, right now it's still the Strangerville door because I was originally going to keep the outside looking a bit more traditional with solar panels on it, but yeah, I just decided to go more overall modern with the look and just kind of make it look like you have the shell of a Victorian house that's otherwise been given this modern look. So I end up going with a black and white color scheme, and I really like how it turned out. I really like that mixture of the traditional and then the super modern. I just had a lot of fun with this build. And I did want to make a shipping container home, and when I first got this pack, because I did get early access last Wednesday, I did start on a shipping container build, but I just really was not feeling it. It looked messy and not in a good way. So I decided to scrap that, and then the day after I got the pack, I had to go on a trip for work, so I went somewhere and stayed overnight. So I really didn't get a chance to start on this build until very late Friday. So yeah, that's why you're not seeing a build from me on this pack until now, because I just took my time with this build and trying to make something that I was happy with. But yeah, I'm really glad that it's finally done and I can share it with you all. I did start on another shipping container home though, and this one's turning out a lot better than the previous one so far. So that'll probably be the next build that I have up, or maybe I'll take a break from working on that and furnish one of the apartments, because I also really want to furnish the apartments that came with this pack. So yeah, my next video will probably either be an apartment renovation or that shipping container build. Not really exactly sure which it's gonna be, but I have a lot more ideas for things that I want to do with this pack. And something else I wanted to do was make an off-the-grid house in Sulani on that one larger lot near the volcano that has that shipwreck built on it, because I've been wanting to build an off-the-grid house on that lot for a while, but it's just, with what we had for off-the-grid builds before, I made one off-the-grid house, then I just never really did another one because this system, like that lot tray, just didn't really work well before. We were lacking a lot of things for it. It didn't really work in ways that I felt made sense, but this pack in the most recent patch did fix a lot of this issue. So now that that's taken care of, I want to do more off-the-grid builds. So yeah, I'll probably or hopefully do one in Sulani at some point, and I also wanted to make one in this world. As I said, I've just got a lot of ideas. I also really want to remake one of the community lots. I kind of do the 4 different versions of that, and if I do that, I don't know if I would do all 4 of them in one video or do 4 separate videos. We'll have to see how long it takes me to do that. You all can also let me know if you have any other ideas for eco lifestyle related builds that you would like to see me make. And also, I am thinking about starting a Let's Build making something related to this pack. I know I have the New York Brownstones Let's Build that I never finished. I haven't uploaded a part for that in, I think, 5 or 6 months, which I'm really sorry about. I just kind of lost motivation to continue that series, and I think I bit off a bit more than I could chew with it, but I do want to finish at some point. I'll probably just make one speed build type video finishing up the whole build. I know that kind of defeats the purpose of a Let's Build, but I think it's better than not finishing at all. But yeah, I don't want to let that whole thing stop me from starting something new, and I do want whatever this new possible Let's Build may be to be a bit shorter than that, like less than 10 parts, possibly closer to 5. I was thinking that trying to remake one of those community spaces could be something good for Let's Build, although that would definitely be longer than 5 parts, but that might not be too bad considering that you basically make the shell. And because I think when looking at the community spaces around the world, like in their initial state, they're sort of empty. There's a bunch of trash there. So that really shouldn't take too long to do. Like I could probably do that part of it in like 1 or 2 parts. And then from there, you're just kind of renovating that existing structure to make the other community spaces. So it may not actually take that long to do in a Let's Build. It might actually be something I could finish in less than 10 parts. So there's an idea. But yeah, let me know what other ideas you all have. So at this point, I'm figuring out the wallpapers that I want to use on the outside of the house. So as I said, we're going with a white and black color scheme. And my idea was that this house originally had brick on it and they just painted over that brick with white paint to make it feel more modern while still keeping that brick there. And then they also painted over the siding with white paint or maybe just put fresh new white siding on. But I like that because I felt like it was kind of keeping some of the traditional elements of this build while also giving it that more modern feel. And then I also used those fences or those railings from Seasons, which I thought looked really nice. I thought they kind of had that mixture of traditional and modern. They worked well together to tie those two elements to each other, you know, those two different styles together. I ended up with this sort of weird corner in the back of the house here, so I just decided to stick a couple of windmills there, and in a little bit I also added a generator there. And I do like the terrain paint that comes on this lot, like with that little bit of stone showing, although I do realize later on that I maybe should have covered that up, like it just looked messy, I guess. I don't know if that's like the right word for it, but it just kind of, I think made it look like there's a bit much going on with the lot once everything was finished, but I still think it was kind of cool. And I was also surprised to find that there was so much trash around this lot because this is built in Grimm's Quarry, which is supposed to be like the nice green neighborhood, you know, with the beautiful rays shining down. And I went to this lot, I was like, wait, why is there so much trash? But I found out later that the trash is cleaned up separately, like it's not cleaned up based on the eco score or the, yeah, I think eco score is what it was, something like that. It's cleaned up through the action plans, and I probably should have, but I didn't bother to clean it up. So yeah, that kind of takes away from the look of the house a little bit. You know, like you got this nice house and then you just got all this trash around it, but it is kind of cool. Like I like that you could have worlds with this pack that, or not worlds, I should say. You can have a world with this pack that feels like it's not perfect and clean because, as others have pointed out, the worlds that have come to this game so far do feel very nice and neat and pristine, or most of them do at least. So it's kind of cool that you have this world that is a bit more dynamic than that and you can see it changing. I will say I haven't really had a chance to play the game much. I did a little bit when playtesting this house, but I really haven't gotten a chance to dig into this pack, so I can't really say my thoughts on the gameplay because I you know, obviously like haven't really been able to fully form my thoughts on it, but I do like the build and buy mode objects that came with this pack. I think there's a lot of really neat stuff there, especially for shipping container builds, because that is a type of build that I've been wanting to do more of, but with what we had, it was kind of hard to really pull it off. But there's all these really cool windows and doors that go along with that. There's not really a lot of other windows and doors that don't tie in with that. Like I have found that the windows and doors that came with this pack don't really work that well unless you're building a shipping container house. Apart from the sliding doors, like those sliding doors that I stuck on the back of the house here are really cool. I've been really wanting sliding doors like that. So I think it's more so the windows that don't really work with every build. These floor to ceiling windows that I use on the shipping container part do work pretty well, but I mean, they're basically like the floor to ceiling windows that we've had with every other pack or multiple other packs, but with different shades. But yeah, other than that, I couldn't really fit in the other windows that we got onto this build. And we also got ladders, which are awesome. So you can see me here trying to put a ladder up to the attic area, because I thought it'd be kind of cool to stick some of the, I think I put the fabricator and the candle maker and the recycling machine up here. So I thought that was kind of cool as a workspace for Sims to craft things, because I did end up using a lot of the fabricated furniture in this house. So I thought it would make sense that there would be a fabricator there that they would have used to make that furniture. But yeah, I'm so happy they added ladders in, because I didn't really make attic spaces that often before because you had to figure out how to fit in a whole staircase to get up to them. And a lot of times I just really wouldn't have the space within the floor plan to fit that in. But with ladders, it makes it so much easier. All you really need is like a 2x1 tile room if you want to have the ladder in a separate room. Other than that, I mean, you can just have the ladder out in the middle of the room and it only takes up 1 tile of space. And that's also a lot more realistic to how you get into attics, because in every house I've lived in, they've had the whole thing where in the hallway you have the, bit that you pull down, and then there's a ladder that kind of folds out of that, and then that's how you get to the attic. Like, it's very much out of the way. So it's great that we have something closer to that. And it just opens up so many other possibilities. Like, I have some ideas for neat things that I can do with the ladders. You can also make proper tree houses. So I am looking forward to using those ladders more in the future. Also, as far as that shipping container addition goes, I stuck that on and I thought, this maybe isn't that realistic, but it looks kind of cool. Like, I wasn't sure if that was a thing that anyone had ever actually done, but I looked it up because I was curious, and that is actually a thing that some people have done, which I think is really cool. But yeah, I just like the idea that they wanted to make an addition and, decided to buy the shipping container and cut out the one side of it to join with the rest of the living area and then just integrate it onto the side of the house. And there is that bump out on the second level above it, so I was thinking that, that bump out obviously continued on the lower level, and they just took that part of it off to put the shipping container onto the house. But here I'm just finishing up things with this backyard area. We just got a swing set and the slide, because I did make this for a family that's 2 parents or possibly 1 parent. I mean, I wasn't really thinking too specifically about the family, but anyway, you've got the parents or parent, and then there's a child and a toddler, because this pack did come with this absolutely adorable toddler bed. Like, it is the best toddler bed we have in the game, so I had to use it. And I was really happy when I saw that they added that into the game, because we've had the same 3 or so toddler beds since they added toddlers in that patch. Like, I think we got an inflatable one from Jungle Adventures, but I've never really used it. Yes, other than that, we haven't really gotten any new toddler beds, so I was just so glad when they added another one. But here I'm just adding some things to this porch area out here. There's not really too much going on. We just got a chest table, and I also added in those bug houses, I think are what they're called, like the things with the bugs that Sims hug. And like so many other people, when I saw the first trailer for this pack, I thought at first that they're chickens, like chicks. But then I was like, wait, that doesn't feel right. That looks like a very weird chicken. Yeah, and then of course I saw people saying that it was a bug. And I was glad that it was a bug and not a chicken, because while it would be cool to get chickens in the game, that's not how I would want them to be added. Because you would be keeping the chicks in a box, like in a dark box. That doesn't really feel like a good environment. So I'm glad that's not actually what it was, because that would not be a great way to add chickens and chicks in the game. It would probably be a situation where they're perpetually a chick to fit into that box. But anyway, we are done with the outside, so here I'm just finishing up some things with the floor plan and getting a start on the interior. This wallpaper here is absolutely gorgeous. I like that it's like a modern yet rustic take on wood paneling. It's just beautiful. I cannot wait to use that in more builds. I was trying to use it in the main area, but I thought it was a little bit too busy, so I just used it in both the laundry room, which is going to be that room that I stuck it in over there, and then there's also an office on the second floor that I used it in. And this flooring is also really pretty. I love a good wood flooring, so I'm always glad to get more of them in packs. Like, as far as I'm concerned, there can never be too many different kinds of wood flooring in this game. So here we're starting on furnishing the entryway, and we just got a table over here with some decorations. And there are a lot of really nice plant decorations that came with this game, and also those, I think they're fabricated wall decorations. They are really pretty. I used them a bunch throughout this house. I also used, yeah, there it is. I used this plant decoration a few places as well, because that I think is really cool. I love those kinds of decorations. I was a little bit disappointed that there weren't any paintings, because I do always like more paintings. Like, there is that one painting, but it's like a wall decoration that's on the floor. I mean, it's still really nice though, but the fact that it's just on the floor limits what you can do with it. I think I have seen stuff where, like, I think I saw on Twitter where someone had a sim paint them and then they uploaded them to the gallery as like paintings you can hang on the wall, but unfortunately if you put those into your build then it marks it as custom content, which isn't really what I want. But I do wish that they would separate those out and then make them actual paintings that can go on the wall. This shelf here is really nice too. There were a lot of really neat looking shelves that came with this pack. Like there's one that I thought was a bookshelf at first. It's like that one shelf with like the really thin metal supports. I stuck it over in the living room. That is really nice looking. I'm glad that they're adding more items like that into the game, like that are a little bit less chunky. Like when I saw that, I thought it looked like custom content, which I mean in a good way. And there's also that one shelf that, it's like a wall shelf that looks like it's hanging and has some plants on it. That one's really pretty as well. I also like the fabricated furniture, and I ended up using that a lot in this house. I think I used the fabricated stuff more than the stuff that actually came with the pack, or I mean the fabricated stuff still came with the pack, but you know what I mean, the stuff that's not unlocked. But that just means more that I can use in future builds, because there are quite a few things from this pack that I didn't get a chance to use in this build, which I think is a good thing. You know, it means that there's more things that I can look forward to using in future builds, and I also think it's good to not use everything from the pack in a single build just so you can do builds with the same pack that look very different from each other. Like, I don't want every build that I make with stuff from this pack to look exactly the same. And I think there are different kinds of feels that you can get from the items that come with this pack. As you can see, I also gave this main area a very open feel to go with that look that they just knocked down all the walls, made this house feel very modern. And I did use those iron columns. I don't know if that's or reinforced steel columns, I think is what they'd be. I used those with a spandrel to kind of create an arch going between the entry area into this, just to give that a little bit of separation. But once you get in here, it is all pretty empty, or not pretty empty, it is all pretty open. And I did use those columns in its spandrel once again to separate the area where the shipping container would be from the rest, just to kind of, you know, show that while it is all open, that is kind of a different thing that was tacked onto this house. And another thing I like is that one rug that's fabricated that looks kind of like a guitar pick. I was a little put off by the knobby looking texture at first, but other than that, I think it looks really neat. I also wanted to mention that while this house is named Eco-Victorian, because I'm not very original with naming these days, it's not really supposed to be a perfectly eco-friendly build. Like, I wasn't trying to go like super, like give it a super green eco footprint. It was just supposed to be like this Victorian home that someone gave an eco-friendly renovation and added some things onto to make more eco-friendly, but it's not supposed to like run off the grid or anything like that or be completely perfect. I just wanted to point that out. I did try to add in that dew collector, but I couldn't really find a space for it where it fit in that well, but that is something I want to use in future builds. I also added the power generator, which I later realized actually gives you an industrial eco footprint. I didn't realize that at first. Like, for some reason I thought that it was good, but it makes complete sense because it is running and it is burning and exhausting out fuel, which is never really that good. I also like to imagine that they did some other things that you can't really see to make this house not waste as many resources, like putting in better insulated windows and adding more insulation to the walls to not lose heating and cooling. And, you know, there could be other things that you could imagine these people did to this house to make it a bit better for the environment. Although something I did read, I did read recently that open floor plans are actually really bad in terms of heating and cooling and keeping your bills down. Like, that the reason why homes were so walled off in the past was, I think one, because they just didn't have the means of having an open floor plan. Like, there wasn't as much knowledge, I guess, of how to put in beams to support the upper level without all those walls, but also it did make it so you would lose less heating and cooling. Having a more closed-off floor plan, it makes it so you don't have to heat and cool areas that you're not using, unlike, when you have an open floor plan and you have to heat and cool the entire area. And also, something else I read is how homes now aren't designed with regards to the environment at all. And what I mean by that is, like, in the past, homes in Florida were designed differently than homes in Alaska. Homes were designed with the climate they're in mind. But now, because of air conditioning and heating, people can just slap down McMansions and Suburbans home wherever, and it's fine. And that kind of a disconnect does lead to higher cooling and heating bills. So it was interesting to read about that, and how architecture has changed so much just because we invented air conditioning and don't have to really come up with these clever ways to keep our environment, keep our homes suitable for us. But now I'm just going through and adding the details to this main area here, because at first I just kind of slapped down the basics that I needed, and then after that I just went through and added some things, and I made this area sort of like the animal / toddler corner, which sounds kind of bad, but it just kind of worked out well to have where the pets eat and where the toddler eats in the same space over here. So I furnished this home for a family that has cats and dogs. Whenever I furnish homes for pets, I usually put stuff in for cats, but then I forget stuff like bigger dog beds and toys, so I wanted to make sure I added those things in here. And also, speaking of cats and dogs, my husband and I are actually considering adopting a dog. Like, we've been pre-approved with an adoption agency, so now we're just keeping an eye out for dogs that are a good match for us, which is really exciting. I'm kind of nervous about it though, because I've never really had my own dog before. Like, growing up, my parents had a dog until I was around 2. And then when I was in college, I had roommates that had dogs, but I've never really had a dog that I've been fully responsible for. But it's an adventure that I'm really looking forward to going on. So hopefully we can find a good match, because the thing that I'm the most nervous about is how the dog would get along with our 2 cats, since we do already have 2 cats, and they are our first priority. Like, I don't want to bring a dog into the house that's going to make their lives more miserable and that they're going to hate. So I really just want them all to get along, or at least tolerate each other and not hiss and chase each other. I think our cats will actually do fine with it. I'm more worried about getting a dog that may potentially chase them, but the shelter is aware of that, and they're going to help us find a dog that has lived with cats before and doesn't try to chase them. But we actually did have someone bring by their dog recently to our house. We didn't let the dog inside at all, but we let our cat see the dog through the door, and I was really pleasantly surprised by how they reacted, because one of my cats, she didn't hiss at all. She saw the dog, she looked kind of cautious, and she just went right up to the door and sniffed the dog's nose through the door. She did get a little spooked when the dog got excited and started whining and pawing at the door, but she just kind of backed up, and then when the dog calmed down, she went right back up to the door and tried sniffing the dog through the door again. And our other cat reacted kind of similarly. Like, she also went up to the door to sniff the dog, but when the dog got a little excited, she hissed at her. But I think that's fine. Like, that's perfectly fine at her hissing at her for getting a little too overexcited and spooking her. But then, as with the other cat, once the dog calmed down, she went back up and started sniffing her again, and they weren't pinning their ears back or fluffing their tails up or anything like that. They didn't really seem like they were being aggressive at all. I think that's a really great sign, and that means that if we were to get a dog that was a good match for them personality-wise, they would actually get along with the dog, like not just tolerate the dog, but actually become friends with the dog. I think that'd be really neat. And I'm kind of wondering if whoever had them before us had dogs because of their reactions. Like, they didn't really seem bothered by the dog too much. And there was another time where we took him to the vet, and one of our cats was just in her carrier on the floor, and these 2 Yorkies came up to her and sniffed the door of the cage. And she just reacted the same. Like, she went right up to the door of the carrier and sniffed the dog's noses back. So, yeah, I think we'll be fine. I think they will be fine with the dog. Getting back to the build, though, I'm now working on the parents' bedroom, and I don't know if any of you have noticed this, but the door to this bedroom is kind of in front of the door to this bedroom is in front of the staircase, and I furnished this entire room without realizing this. I actually finished the rest of the build without realizing this, and then when I was going to, get the footage for the fly-through at the end, I was like, wait a minute. How did I do this without realizing this? So I did have to fix it and shuffle some things around before the fly through. I really don't know how I completely missed this. I mean, this is why I should not build while tired, because when I was furnishing this room, it was, I think, after midnight, like around 1 in the morning, which for me is very late. So I was very tired, but I was on the building grind. Even though I was very tired, I was like, I just want to get one more room done. So I did this room, moved the door around a little bit, completely forgetting that that was where the staircase was, and then just furnished everything around that. So yeah. Had to go through and fix all that. I think there were some other things that I messed with this build that I had to fix. Yeah, oh yeah, there was a random counter in the wall in the kitchen. I don't know how I missed that when I was getting those fly-through footages. When I was getting the fly-through footage and was getting a nice view of the kitchen, I was like, wait, there's a counter inside the wall. Yeah, and there's just some other little things. Again, this is why I need to not build when I'm tired. Hopefully there aren't other random things that I missed in uploaded version of this. Whenever I do finish builds, I usually go back through and fix some things, you know, because there are those things that I miss. And then sometimes I just look at things again, I'm like, wait, I could do better than this. So that's why sometimes you'll see things change a bit throughout the build, and I didn't really show myself doing those changes because I stopped recording and then I fix things, because I don't always like to have a bunch of footage of me going back and fixing the same thing repeatedly. But we are on the bedroom, or the bathroom off of the parents' bedroom here, and I really like this tile that I used on the walls here. I think that's really cool. It's kind of like this concrete tile, and that wood flooring I used in there is really neat too. It's like kind of this honeycomb pattern, and while it is wood flooring, I like to imagine it being tile, because there is tile that looks like wood, so I'm just kind of thinking that that's what it is. But here we're onto the toddler bedroom, and there is that absolutely adorable toddler bed. It is just so stinking cute. And I was trying to use some wallpapers in the toddler bedroom and the child's bedroom that I don't really use often. I can't remember the last time I've used this ship wallpaper here, if I've ever even used it. But I like how the pink in it mixes with the pink on that bed. I think this whole bedroom is really cute, and I ended up not putting a lot of wall decorations in this room because of how busy the wallpaper is. Normally I like to have more in you know, kids' bedrooms, but with this one, yeah, I just felt like it was overpowering things a bit too much to have a bunch of wall decorations all over the place. That basket item there is also really cute. Something else that makes a really nice decoration are the candles that you can get on a debug that came with this pack. So I did place those throughout the house in a few places, and in the fly-through footage at the end, you will see some of them burning. I am so glad they added actual candles, because there's been so many times where I just wanted to have the look of a bunch of candles clustered together, and the candles that we got in the light category don't always work the best for that. So I'm really glad that that's something we can more easily do now, and it just looks really pretty when you cluster a bunch of them together. But we're getting pretty close to finishing up this bedroom here. I'm just adding some last toys and, you know, some last few toys in here. Like we got the dollhouse there, also a chair for them to sit there and read on, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, here's where I was trying to add in a nightlight. Thought it would look nice next to the bed at first, but I just stuck it over there on that other wall since there wasn't really anything there. So now we're on to the kids' bedroom, and I was trying to use that one light that came with this pack in here, but it didn't really end up working with the color of the wall that I went with. But I did use that in the study room that I'll furnish in a little bit. I did use this wallpaper here that's kind of this funky circle pattern. So I used a swatch of that's in this really bright purple color, and then I used those bright purple plain walls. That's another wallpaper that I don't use often, so I just had a lot of fun with making this room very colorful. And I also used that cardboard dollhouse, which is adorable. I know I keep saying that about the stuff that came with this pack, but it is adorable. I just love how it looks like the parents got a bunch of cardboard and made it for their kid to play with. I just think the idea of that is really cute. And I used that fabricated bed there instead of the other single bed. I think I already said this, but I do like some of the fabricated furniture more than the other furniture that came with this pack. That table there I think is really cool. I also added the activity table that we got for kids with this pack to this room as well, although I don't think that really does anything differently than the other activity tables that we have. So I've seen other people say, I do wish that kids had more activities because we've gotten a few new activities here and there, a few new activities for kids here and there with other packs, but it feels like a lot of the time it's just like, here's a new activity table, here's a new dollhouse. I mean, it looks different, and I'm sure a lot of work was put into making the new meshes, but they just kind of do the same thing. So more activities for children is something that I would like to see more of in the future. And I do believe kids can make a few kinds of candles with the candle maker. I can't remember which kind of candles it was exactly. So, I mean, that is good that they're able to join in and do that. And I think they can also recycle some things. So, I mean, it is good that there are some other things that kids can do that came with this pack, but those things are limited. And I hope that there are more kid-specific activities that can be added in the future, like things that they can do to build skills and have goals, and also some new aspirations for kids, because we've had the same 4 since the base game came out, and I'm kind of sick of, like, you know, deciding whether I want to give my kid the motor skill aspiration or the creativity aspiration or the social butterfly one and whatever the other one was. So it would be great to have some more options, and hopefully that's something that we would get in the future. But now I'm on to the hall bathroom, and there isn't really that much to this bathroom. It's just got more of this red, pinkish kind of a color scheme. Again, nothing that exciting. We did get a new toilet and sink with this pack, but I didn't use it in this build because it just didn't really fit in with it that well. I don't really completely like the look of them either. I think the toilet is supposed to be actually, I don't know if the toilet was supposed to be a composting toilet. I think there's an upgrade that you can make to toilets to make them composting, but I don't know if that one was composting to begin with. But I think that toilet and sink would fit in better if you're doing more of an off-the-grid or tiny house kind of a build. And as far as I remember, there wasn't a shower that came with this pack either. But we're onto the last room of this level, which is the study. I was going to make this room a bedroom, but there wasn't really enough space to try to fit in a closet. And I didn't really have a desk anywhere else in this house. So I thought it just made sense to make this an office where the parents can go in and do their work. I've also added some skill building items in here. There's a guitar. I also added in a punching bag and a soccer ball too. Yeah, I think that's about it as far as the skill building items. And I also added that one wall shelf that I was talking about in here. I just think that one looks so cool. So I put that in, added some books and some candles to it to make it look a bit more decorated. And here I'm using these leaf decorations yet again. I know I've used those in almost every room of this house, but I just really like the way they look. There's also this other leaf wall decoration that I didn't use, but that's just something that I can use in a future build. So right now we're on to the last room of this house, which is the attic room. We are almost at the end of the building part of the video, so as usual, I want to mention that there is a link to download this build in the description. I'll also have another link in the description because there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I just want to say that Black Lives Matter, and we can all do something to try to make this world a better and kinder place. So I'll have a link in the description on ways that you all can help, and I really hope that you check it out. But that's going to be it for me, so if you enjoy the rest of the video,